Okay, so this is my name. So, and you just can call me Dae because this is hard to pronounce. It's Daehok, right? But you can just call me Dae, like I said. As you can see with my name, I'm 100% Korean from blood to citizenship. But the thing is that for the longest time, it was hard for me to say this. And since I'm in the Philippines right now, let me try something out. Marunong ako Tagalog, konti lang. Hindi, joke lang, marunong talaga ako mag-Tagalog. Ano ba kayo? See, I grew up in the Philippines, even if I'm Korean. I grew up in the Philippines and went to a Philippine Catholic school for boys. And the funny thing here is that, I'm not Filipino, I'm not Catholic, and the only thing that I was sure about was that maybe I was a boy. Maybe, I don't know. No, I'm sure about that I'm a boy. Okay, and when I was given the privilege to stand on this stage and talk about the experiences and the empowerment of Filipino women, it was the same thing over again, right? I am not Filipino. I don't experience what the women experience. And the only thing I was sure about was that I was not a woman. All right? So the question to myself was, how can I talk about the Filipino woman's experience and empowerment if I myself do not experience it? Right? I looked into myself, and this is the closest thing that I could find, which is discrimination. So this is something I experienced being a Korean in the Philippines, and that's actually me, if you don't know. Yeah. And when people did not even know Korea. So like, who's into K-pop or K-drama here? Just a raise of hands or just say, woo. All right, okay, that didn't exist. Okay, that didn't exist then. The anger and hate towards Korea was still there. I don't know how true this is, but older Filipinos would tell me that during the war, the Japanese soldiers would actually send Korean prisoners to be soldiers in the Philippines, and they did unimaginable things, right? And it was a time when Korean products and things were thought of knockoffs or low quality. And it was also a time when people talked about the army, it was military. Today, when you talk about, hey, I'm from the army, what do people say? Or I'm army, what would people say? Oh my God, army ka rin, sinong bias mo, diba? That's how people say things today, right? But here's the thing, right? The thing here is that people mock me for my accent. I had teachers, and even classmates telling me to throw away my food because it was spoiled. By the way, it was kimchi. I don't know if you know, but if you pack kimchi and then put it in a container and put it outside, I don't blame them. Mabaho talaga siya. It smells really bad. But that's the thing. I saw my mom preparing this for days, right? So what would I do? Like a good Korean son, I would sit in the corner, take out my kimchi and eat it all by myself with tears rolling down my face. Of course, that's not what I did. Malamang sinabi ko, oh my gosh, ang baho niyan, and I threw it away. Sabi ng teacher, throw it away, so I threw it away. Right? That's the thing. And I can't imagine the heartbreak that my mom would have felt. Add to the fact that I would always go home and say, why can't we be normal like everyone else and have baon, yung hot dog na red, yung sausage na red that would make your rice pink? That's what I wanted for baon. And guess what my mom said? What's baon? Right? See, and because I did not know better, I hated my culture. I hated being Korean. Harsh words, yes, but I got bullied so much that I just wanted to fit in and have my red sausage that colors my rice pink. That's all I wanted. And for years, that's what I did. I consumed all the data that was available. I kid you not. I studied the history, Philippine language, how to dress, everything to the point that I got the highest possible mark in my Filipino classes. And just to prove it to you, I got my transcript of records. So these are my first few. Look at that. 1 is highest in this university. Philippine history was my highest. Right? I tried to out-Filipino every single Filipino out there. Mantakin mo yun, right? And the world suddenly changed. What happened? People started coming up to me and saying, oh my gosh, you're Korean? I love kimchi. I love bibimbap. Are you a Korean idol? Of course, the last one I made it up, but that's not true. But the point here is that when I heard kimchi, what would I say? Right? I trained myself to say, ew, kadiri, I don't like this, thinking that I would get approval from these people. And what did they say? At the end of the day, they were like, Dae, you're not real Korean. And they would say like, uy, Dae, pakilala mo naman ako sa totoong Koreano. And I was like, hindi ba ako totoong Koreano? Huhu. Right? It's thing. See, all of these years trying my best to not be Korean because I got discriminated against and ridiculed, now they want me to be my original self. Right? What is my original self? Right? I followed what was supposed to be good through a foreign cultural context that I forgot what was good in my own cultural context, right? Leading me to become a foreigner, right, with no identity at all. And when I started looking at the things in my own Korean context, that's when I realized that I felt bad for myself because I was looking at myself from a foreign lens. And that's the thing, I got empowered by that. And this is what I've learned. That empowerment does not come from just knowing where you want to go or where others tell you to go, but it comes from understanding who you are and where your starting point is. Right? And you might even realize that you don't want to go where everybody else is telling you to go anyway. Right? So why start from someone else's starting point? It's like in our generation's terms, it's like loading and playing another person's video game, saved video game, right? You'll be confused. I mean, I wish I knew this sooner, and if I had more information in the right context, then I would have used my differences to my advantage, right? I would show the people what I could bring to the table. And when you think about it, this is how Korea became a cultural superpower. Only when they stopped trying to be like anyone else and showed others how being genuinely local made them go truly global. Right? It sounds obvious, but it's funny how we always see things through the foreign lens most of the time. Like, take for example, a very good example would be a foreign framework that boxes generations into different categories, right? Millennials, Gen Z, boomers. But I can already tell you, okay, if you look at it in the nuances and put it in the Philippine context, right, a Gen Z from BGC or even in Makati would be very different from a Gen Z in Tondo, right? So sure, foreign frameworks and data can be a general guide, but we should always validate it in the context of our own culture and experience. And not to question ourselves or feel bad when foreign frameworks and data don't explain how we truly are. I mean, that's why they're foreign, right? And this frustration led me and my friends to put up a research and analysis firm that focuses purely on Filipino sentiments and their behaviors, and to let people have access to better information and impactful, and have intentional and impactful decisions. And even our hashtag says it, we know the Filipino. Funny, right? Even if I'm Korean. So that's my Filipino side of things. But here's the thing. How does this all fit in the context of women, right? Let's go back to discrimination. And let's look at information available and understand it through the social cultural lens of the Filipino, right? I cannot tell you what to do, really, but I can tell you and show you a starting point. Okay? So it's easy to claim and argue that Philippine culture is male-dominated. That women in the Philippines are, let's say, discriminated against, not treated equally, and at the same time have no power. There's truth to it, and I'll be honest about it. But a lot of foreign studies also point towards that. But the reality is, if seen from a unique Filipino social cultural lens, it's more nuanced than that. And I just like to remind you, I know my Philippine history, right? Let's put it to good use. Here are some examples. Okay, women's right to vote, right? Women's right to vote in the West, they were violently suppressed by the authorities. Okay? But here in the Philippines, it was granted peacefully and willingly in 1937. And a lot of people say it was really President Quezon's wife, Aurora, who was the principal advocate. And that's my point. Like, convincing others to do what you want and without doing it yourself, that's power, right? And Filipinos already exercised power even before they became powerful figures in the government, right? In the pre-colonial society, let's go way back, women held powerful roles as babaylans or priestesses, right? And even before any chieftain, or we call them datus, made their decisions, it was them who had the say. Right? Even the arrival of Christianity, right? I say I'm not Catholic, but I'll tell you about this, is that Christianity further empowered Filipinas by emphasizing the dignity of women through the devotion of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Right? This pushed the society to become more matriarchal. protecting women and children from exploitation of being regarded as mere assets, right? How about more recent data? Because this was all way back, right? So globally, according to the World Bank, okay, 23% of medium, small enterprises or micro, medium, small enterprises are owned by women. This is 23%, right? 23% owned by women. But what about locally? So we got data from from the Asian Development Bank as well as the Department of Trade and Industry. And what do you think is your guess? How many percent of micro, small, medium enterprises are owned by women here in the Philippines? Anyone? I hear 40, 50. Actually, it's 72%, right? And people are saying that, oh yeah, but those are micro, small, medium enterprises. They're not really big. But here's the thing. Among all the businesses here in the Philippines, okay, 99.59% of businesses are actually MSMEs. This actually makes women the backbone of local commerce. Think about it. Interesting, right? And I can go on and on and on with these data. But the point here is that, okay, just like myself, with the data and the things that I had, I feel that because we're looking at things from a different perspective and the lack of social cultural nuances and the things that are available, okay, and the intricacies that are presented to you is not there, it negates all the good things that we have already done and forces us to try to become who we're not when we're already something better or we already have something better. Don't get me wrong, to be honest, discrimination, biases, and all still exist today, and it's an ongoing battle, right? But if we take this existing data as baseline and validate it and understand it from the local social cultural context, you might be surprised, just like we've seen with the women empowerment, that you already have a massive head start and you can be the ones to show the world how things can be done. Very interesting, right? So when we really talk about this, it's about getting information, okay, that takes into consideration the nuances and intricacies of the Philippines. So next time you see data and studies, really ask yourself, nasa konteksto ba natin ito? Because this way we can be empowered to make better decisions. And just like me, I have accepted that I am Dae. I'm a Korean boy who experienced discrimination and knows a lot about Filipino culture, even different cultures, and being Filipino. And like I said, empowerment does not come from just knowing where you want to go or where others tell you to go. And empowerment comes from understanding who you are and where your starting point is, and then making your decision from there. So I want to ask you a question or leave you with a question. Right? San ka ba magsisimula? Thank you so much. Kamsahamnida.